All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic that's absolutely mission critical for any business out there: cybersecurity compliance. Yeah, I know it can sound like a world of high stakes and super confusing rules, but trust me, getting this right is completely non-negotiable.
So let me just start by asking you a pretty serious question. Could a single, simple data mistake cost your company 20 million euros? The answer, shockingly, is yes. And for a lot of businesses, believe it or not, that's just the starting point.
And you know what? That 20 million euro figure, that's not even the worst-case scenario. Under regulations like GDPR, the fines can actually go as high as 4% of a company's total global revenue. Just pause and think about that. For a big corporation, we're talking about a jaw-dropping amount of money.
But here's the thing. If you're only focusing on those huge fines, you're kind of missing the bigger picture. The real cost of getting compliance wrong goes way, way beyond a single check you have to write. It can actually hit the very heart of your business.
So why does all this matter so much? Well, obviously, there's the legal and financial risk. Nobody wants those fines or lawsuits. But what about something that's maybe even more valuable? Trust. The moment you lose customer confidence, you start losing sales. Compliance is really the foundation of that trust. And on top of all that, it builds what we call operational resilience. It forces you to get organized, to have documented processes, and to be ready for anything, which makes your whole business stronger.
Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial distinction. And honestly, this is something that trips up a lot of people. We're talking about the difference between compliance and security. They're related for sure, but they are not the same thing. And getting why is absolutely fundamental.
So let's get a clear definition on the table. At its core, cybersecurity compliance is all about meeting the specific requirements laid out by somebody else. You know, the laws, the regulations, the standards that apply to your business. It's not just about doing the right thing. It's about being able to prove you're doing it.
Here's probably the best way to think about it. Compliance is the floor. It's the auditable, absolute minimum you have to do to follow the law. Security, on the other hand, is the ceiling. It's the business-aligned maximum you do to protect your organization from real-world threats. One is rule-based, the other is about managing risk, and you absolutely positively need both.
Okay, so if compliance is all about following the rules, which rules are we actually talking about? It can seriously feel like you're trying to navigate an alphabet soup of acronyms, so let's try to sketch out a bit of a map.
The key thing to get right off the bat is that there isn't one single rule book that works for everybody. The specific regulations that apply to you are going to depend on your industry, where your business and your customers are, and, this is a big one, the exact type of data you handle.
So, for instance, got customers in Europe? Boom, you have to deal with GDPR. Are you in US healthcare? That's going to be HIPAA. If you handle any kind of credit card data, you have to follow PCI DSS. And for US defense contractors, it's this thing called CMMC. See the pattern? Each one is designed to protect a specific kind of data for a specific group of people. Okay, so now you know what compliance is, and you have an idea of which rules might apply to you. The next logical question is, how in the world do you actually build a program to manage all this? Well, it might sound like a huge mountain to climb, but it's not so daunting if you have a clear playbook. Every good program, every single one, starts with a rock-solid foundation, and that foundation is governance. It kicks off with clear leadership, your CISO, your Chief Compliance Officer, with full backing from legal and the business side. Then you need executive oversight to keep everyone accountable, and all of it has to be built on clear, documented policies that leave absolutely no room for guesswork. Once that foundation is in place, you build your plan, and it's really a pretty logical four-step process. Step 1. You take an inventory of every single rule and standard that applies to you. Step 2. You do a gap analysis to see where you're falling short right now. Step 3. You prioritize. You can't fix everything at once, so tackle the biggest risks first. And finally, Step 4. You create a clear, phased roadmap to get all the work done. Now, this is so important to remember. Compliance is not a one-and-done project. It's not something you finish. It is a continuous cycle. You have to constantly monitor your controls, measure how you're doing, audit your own work, and always be ready to respond to an incident and then improve from it. It just never stops.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground here. So let's bring it all home. Let's wrap up with a simple checklist, some really concrete actions you can take, either to get started or just to make your current program even stronger.
All right, Here are your marching orders. First, build a requirements matrix. Map every single legal requirement to a specific control and, crucially, to an owner. Next, establish your core policies. Things like access control, encryption, incident response. Don't forget about your vendors. Formalize how you manage their risk. And then you have to practice. Drill your incident response plans regularly so you're ready for the real thing. And finally, make sure you are reporting on all of this up to your board.
Look, if there's only one thing you remember from our entire conversation today, please let it be this idea right here. Don't think of compliance as just some annoying checklist you have to get through. Instead, treat it like a core business system, just like you would treat finance or HR. It has to be governed, automated, measured, and always getting better.
So I'm going to leave you with one final question to think about for your own organization. When you really look at it, is your compliance program just a cost center, a necessary evil that you just have to deal with? Or have you turned it into a true strategic asset, something that actively builds trust with your customers and actually helps your business grow? The choice is yours.